Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. Today we got a special guest with us. Before I say who it is, I just want to say that we grew up together back out there in South Milwaukee. Shout out to the South Milwaukee niggas. We grew up, went to the same school and the same grade school. Then later on in life, maybe like while I was in college, when I first started college, um, I reached back out to him because uh, I found out that he played different instruments, the guitar, and I was like, I don't know how I heard about it. I don't know how I heard about it, but somebody was like, he got a studio or whatever. So I hit him up. This is when he was like, he had his studio set up at his crib, and he would let different artists, local artists from the mill, come record with him. And so I remember one time it was me, brought one of my homies with me, and we was jamming out with someone else. He played the bass. I forgot his name. Um, but we were just jamming out. They were playing different instrumentals. They did one on Juicy, the Notorious B.I.G. beat. They did that live, and I spit my verse on it. I don't know where that recording is, but um, and then I went like maybe one other time to record. That was about like it's been some years ago now, but I went to record and I felt like in one of the moments I felt like, especially when I went to the studio by myself, I felt like that's when I started taking music a little bit more serious. So uh, I know I usually give flowers to my people. You feel me? But I would be I would be hiding the other part of my journey if I did not pay homage to the people that are in my life, of color or not, putting them out there because they've never been problematic. They've always been supportive. And for this guy right here, he held a space, no matter the color, your skin, no matter how you identified, he had a safe space for you to express your art. And so uh, that's why I'm giving him his flowers. He goes by Colin, but today, with all the music influence he done gave me, we're calling him by Chippy. Um, but before we get to Chippy, real quick, I want to shout out, and he'll dive more into his business, but I want to say the people who are going out living their dreams, starting businesses, you don't take that lightly. You shouldn't. All right. But he has this, he has a business called Sound Love, audio DJ entertainment and uplighting. Sound Love Audio DJ Entertainment and Uplighting is a Milwaukee-based full-service wedding DJ service providing lighting, sound, and DJ equipment and services to wedding clients across Wisconsin and beyond. And then Cliffstock, uh, he used to host this Cliffstock. It was a festival in his backyard, and it overlooked like the water. It was dope. It was dope. Like he also held a space like if people just wanted to kick it, like you didn't really have to like sit around and like talk. Like he had his space open for people. Like, look, if you just want to look out the view, like well, I'm saying he's one of the coolest people I've ever met. Um, Clipstock, it's a throwback, but I hope he brings it back. Let's help him bring it back. You know what I mean? 100% donation-based community focusing on art, music, and camping events with a goal of promoting local up and coming artists. I feel like before I heard of Lil Russell, I heard of Cliffstock. That was our Milwaukee thing. You got to shout out Lil Russell. He out there in Vallejo, and he's putting his city on. And so I just want to make sure I'm doing the same thing because we also got greats here in the heart of Milwaukee. I know we're getting more known in the streets and in the world, and it's a lot of negativity. And although there's negativity in Milwaukee, I'm gonna make sure we also put out the positivity, and people are working. There are people who care about other people, who care about a better world than we're living in now. So they're like, bro, you're well. But I just want to give him his flowers, and we're gonna get started with this interview. Side note: if I'm awkward, I am awkward. Y'all know this. Leave me alone. You're awkward too. No, I'm just kidding. Enjoy the interview. Grab your snacks. Um, Cliffstock also. They had I performed in one of the Cliffstock videos. I'm gonna post that in the community post. If y'all see that, I'll post that at some point. I gotta find the picture, but if I find the photo, I'll let y'all know though. But I was in one of those, and you gotta start somewhere. And I was in the backyard rapping in front of who knows, grandparents, parents, kids, people my age, all different ethnicities. I will say South Milwaukee specifically is like a mini like melting pot of what Milwaukee is like. I feel like I was around a lot of different ethnicities growing up. So although there is segregation in Milwaukee, South Milwaukee, I feel like it's just a melting pot of different cultures, people. But we're gonna get to this video. But I had to give my flowers. Enjoy.
Awesome.
Yes, my shit right here. So that's my shit right here. Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. Today I got a special guest on the show with me, Colin. We go way back. We'll get to that in a
Way back.
little, but I'm glad to have you on the show. I know you have your own business where you DJ and things like that, but I know you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to music. I've seen it firsthand. So I want you to kind of explain to the audience what you do and how you got started with your business.
Okay, sure. I consider myself an event specialist. I kind of specialize in all things live events and production related. So I focus on a lot of audio engineering. I do tend to wear many hats, do lighting, and some like day of coordination. I these days I specialize in just doing weddings, so that's kind of my become my bread and butter. And I even officiate weddings occasionally, so I do a little bit of everything from, officiating. I do mostly DJing, and then like day of coordination and things like that. So, but by trade, I am a wedding DJ professionally.
And what got you started with that? What made you want to go that route?
Well, I actually kind of fell into it. I went to school for audio production and business management, and while I was going to college, I found this job working as a wedding DJ for a company, and they gave me all the equipment and trained me and everything, and I ended up just falling in love with it, and like I've been doing it ever since. And then once COVID hit and took everything away, it made me realize that I didn't want weddings. Excuse me. I didn't want weddings to just be like a weekend type of side hustle anymore. I wanted to make it my full-time specialty and profession. So that's the direction I've gone the past few years specifically is just focusing on the wedding industry, and it's such a rewarding job to obviously be working with music and getting paid for it, but to be there on like the happiest day of people's lives is like there's no feeling quite like it. Um, just to see all of the raw emotions that you get to experience throughout the day, um, from the ceremony, first dances, the speeches, the dances with the parents. It's it's so beautiful. And weddings are ultimately just about bringing people together and unifying of cultures a lot of the times. And it's like just a celebration of each person's unique love story and being able to be a part of that every single week. It's like I couldn't ask for anything else, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so it really is the greatest job in the world.
So I want to go back a little bit. I know we went to the same schools. We grew up together, kind of in the same school and same area. And
Yeah.
I remember when I started to want to like take my music a little more serious and like go to a studio and things like that. You were the first person that came to my mind. I'm grateful to let you that you like let me into your home and you was like teaching me kind of the ropes of how just being in what like a studio scene would be like because you were like my first like studio I ever been to. So I wanted to know more about how you got started with like building your own studio and wanting to take more initiative of your own path and your own career because I saw a few times like on your story where you had like ups and downs with it and I wanted
Mhm.
to kind of explore that. But what got you started to like wanting to build your own?
Yeah, specifically the studio side of things. As I mentioned before COVID hit and before like I just like narrowed my focus into live events and weddings, I kind of had like a broad spectrum of different music and production services that I was trying to like experiment with offering. So we would do like the live events, obviously, and I was working with bands and stuff. And um, my previous business partner and their name is Maddie. Um, they're really the one that had the the drive and the passion to set up the studio. They moved in with me and we were living together. We started a company called Midcoast Entertainment, and they had already had experience operating a studio out of their like his mom's apartment previously. And now uh, we're living together and starting this production company, and we ended up building a studio in my dad's basement, which is where we were living together at the time. So that's the studio that you came to. But it was really nice because we had our own separate entrance, and it was like right along the beautiful like scene of the lake and everything. So it was a really inviting place to have artists come and express their music. But I got into it more just as you know, because like going to school for audio production and you learn all of the ins and outs of the industry when you're doing that. So learning how to use DAWs like was a huge part of that. And I don't even know how like I started doing it, but basically we just set up a microphone and at the very first like early stages of it, we literally like hung blankets from the ceiling and created like a booth around the microphone in the middle of the room. Later on, we built out like what used to be the cellar like pantry with like a into like its own booth with like soundproofing and everything. The first early stages, you know, we just had like as much like DIY like soundproofing that we could get our hands on, like big cushy blankets, pillows around the house, um, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure in those early recordings of having people come over and like record the like some of those first projects we've done, they probably you could probably hear like my dog barking in the background or something like that, you know, like so that was always a thing that we were fighting was like background noise because when you're recording in a studio, you're always dealing with that. And especially if, you know, there's other people living in the space or that kind of thing. And if you live on like a busy street or whatever, but it was a great experience to work with all sorts of different people. We did everything from like blues, um, rock, like metal, to like a lot of hip hop and rap. That was kind of like the bread and butter, I would say.
Mhm.
People coming and just paying us like by the hour to record over a beat and just do like a song or two at a time. And we'd have pretty regular clients that would come and work with us, which was awesome. It kept us busy. And I think some of the struggles that we dealt with, along with like, the audio and soundproofing and trying to like make it actually look like a legitimate studio when it was just my dad's basement, um, was, you're trying to operate a business. And I think anybody who's like takes appointments, like even hairdressers, probably deal with the same frustrations of people just not showing up or being late, um, and that kind of thing. So that was always a frustration of ours because, I trying to charge for like time that you're not there, or like, it's so trying to like we tried to figure out like if we could take like a deposit ahead of time or whatever. But really it was just about finding people that were worth working with.
Mhm.
Um, because in that like, you know, basement studio market, you're also going to get a lot of amateur and novice people who like it just seemed like people wanted to just come over and like record themselves, like, I'm in a studio and like,
Right.
smoking a blunt or whatever, and just like that whole like persona kind of thing.
Mhm.
So we had a lot of like problems with that. And there was one instance in particular where I actually didn't feel safe in my own home because this person came and he was recording a song about like his ex that he had broken up with,
Mhm.
and started drinking heavily in the studio and ended up like blacking out, passing out on the couch. And then like I'm trying to wake him up. He finally wakes up, and then like it was like his personality like snapped, and he had like a different look in his eye and like became angry, and like I thought he was gonna fight me. So I actually like ran out of my own house and like I had to call the police. Um, but
Wow.
he got home safe. He didn't get arrested or anything. But like, that was the biggest wake up call of like, I need to be careful about who I'm inviting over into my space, um, where my family lives and things like that. So, my recommendation for anybody that's looking to get into it would be just keep those like safety sorts of things in mind. However, you can separate the like work versus like home. Keep the studio space as separate from the rest of your house as possible. I know that's not always possible if you're going to start like doing that, but um, if I could afford to like rent out an office space or something where I could do it, that's probably what I would do nowadays.
Oh, wow. Uh, so when it comes to um, when you were talking about the different tips of like or advice you would give people, um, what have you learned the most uh, since that time till now? What have you learned the most about not only yourself but how to grow your business and build it?
Yeah, when I was doing the studio stuff, I was still really new as like a business owner. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to focus on. That's why I was offering so many different range of services. So I would recommend to just like find one like niche to really like hone in on like being good at, and then it's easier to I guess compete among that market because you can differentiate yourself as like, the person who specializes in that one thing. Like for me, it became weddings, but for, you know, the studio side of things, I would recommend maybe um honing in like on a specific like maybe sound or like um genre of artists that you're looking to work with, um because it just helps define you as your brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I know just like on the artist side of things for me, going into like the business part of it can be kind of scary.
Yeah.
But like just like getting to the studio, like I'm in a space where I'm like, I think I want to start just building on my own because I have been out here for a while, and I found a studio that I really like. Um, it's just like it's nothing it's nothing compared to like having your own and doing it yourself. But there is somebody there who was teaching me kind of like how to run it a little bit, you know. And I appreciate that too. How important do you think it is to for an artist to learn the ins and out of the business itself instead of
Yeah, I
like
think
running on like a simulation, you know what I mean, and letting other people do it for you? How important is it for the artist to tap into that?
it's it's so important, and it's like easier than ever nowadays to be like independent in doing all of those things.
Mhm,
Um, I mean, it's definitely okay to ask for help when you need it, but like the I guess the point I want to make is like for people like us that get in the music industry, like we do it because we have the passion for the music side of things. And the business part of it is usually like an afterthought. Like it's I'm not thinking about like all the money I'm gonna make. I'm just thinking about the fact that like I get to like do what I love for a living, and live comfortably doing so.
mhm,
Um, so it's like learning how to get there is like I think the hardest part for everybody, because it's you're having to like learn all these like things, like you have to learn how to sell yourself. You have to learn how to like promote and like market yourself and your brand and like develop a brand and maintain that sort of reputation. And it's not an easy thing to do at all. And for somebody that's like just like starting out and has like no like guidance, my biggest like recommendation is just to like network with people, find people that can like mentor you. And like I said before, it's okay to ask for help on things that maybe you're not so good at, so you can focus on other things. And in the beginning, you might not have the resources to like, pay people to like, be your assistant or whatever. But so it's really just like a lot about at the beginning of the conversation where I said, I have to wear many hats.
mhm.
It's kind of like that. You just gotta learn how to like do all these different aspects of it, and that's the hardest part, I think, because like
Mhm,
I didn't get into like wedding DJing because I want to be a salesperson, but now like sales is like a huge part of my job because I have to keep putting shows on the calendar if I want to be able to go and like work them. I don't know. It's Yeah, I think that's just the biggest takeaway that I've learned from this whole experience is like I wish that I would have like taken more of those like business classes in school. And I mean, there are great resources on the internet now where like you can go on YouTube and learn a ton
yeah,
if you just like are focused, and you just got to keep searching for the right things. And self learning really never ends. Like I'm constantly trying to like keep up with what's going on and what other people are doing and how I can stay uh relevant, I guess.
yeah,
So
I've been seeing a lot of like people I grew up with taking more of initiatives of their own like lives and careers. It's not the traditional route, like growing up of, be a doctor or get a regular 9 to 5 and do this because that's going to pay the bills. And it's like, when
Hmm.
do you stop just wanting to just pay the bills and actually live your dreams? I think even growing up, hearing like live your dreams was just something you couldn't really obtain. It was something nice to like have in your mind, like, oh, that would be nice. But to see people um, that I grew up with, including you, including a bunch of others, just honing it, like there's someone I know who is about to take over this whole like drag show scene. Like she's starting to not just do it at Pride Fest, but make it bigger. And for me to see people just taking control of their own lives is inspiring because it even now sometimes it seems like it's impossible. Like even with artists, like some people still want to get signed to a major record label and things like that, but people like say La Russell, he's going the independent route where you don't he's showing people you don't have to do the traditional, even going to up to what Capitol Records and being like, hey, hear my stuff. Like you don't need anyone anymore. And I just
Right.
that's really inspiring. But even at times it can seem impossible. But I think, like you said, just if you're serious about it, you just have to take time and learn more to get better at it, to get better at even the business side of it. Um, because I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, I gotta know how to not only spit on that mic, but like you said, how to market and how to. Why do people have like? Why should people care about what you're putting out? You know, and
Right.
that's I think sometimes can be a struggle in itself because there's so much people can they could look at so many different artists that put out music every single day. Even with you with the DJ, there's different DJ. I'm not even gonna lie. To me, I don't see too many, you know,
Mm.
DJs, especially with weddings, live events. But Milwaukee, I think, is starting to, be put more on the map. But I think it's really dope that like I said, like people are starting to take control of their lives.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
it's easier than ever to be independent, as you said, like an artist, with being independent versus being on a major label. Kind of the same thing with like in the DJ world. I started, like I said, working for a larger company, and I think that's the way it used to be, where like if you wanted to be a wedding DJ, you kind of had to like there were like these companies that did it, and
Mhm,
um, but now like it's easier than ever to be independent because like the internet connects us all, and there's so many tools out there that help like keep all of these things at your fingertips and
mhm,
make like being an entrepreneur like so much easier than it ever was.
mhm,
Where like I think it's allowing our generation to be trying those like trying to follow our dreams a little bit more than like what people were stuck doing in the past.
mhm,
And it's really cool to see. And at the same time, it's also like more important than ever for us to still try and not or try to like figure out how we can like work together because like um with that independence, I think we lose a sense of like loyalty and like companionship a little bit. Um, so it's just like about figuring out like how we can maintain that like moving forward and create like a space that works for everybody in like the whole. scene, I guess.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I started to go with United Masters um to like distribute my music.
Okay.
And I like the fact that one, it was on an app, so it's easy to just have access to, but it's also showing me more of uh, okay, how do you want to market yourself to your audience? Um, and so I find just like wanting to like even go into music a little bit more in depth is like it's scary, but it's also fun too. Um, I think, like you said, like we don't go into this for the money because that's one gonna take it could take time, but that's not the goal. It's like, well, it's one of the goals. We do at one point want to, make
Yeah.
money for what you're doing, but I think what drives us is the passion, and that's what's always gonna keep us there. That's what's gonna separate us from everyone else. Like I can only imagine there's DJs out there that just want to do it for the money alone, and you can tell if if someone's up there, it's a wedding and they don't really care. You can tell when someone doesn't care whether they're a DJ or an artist or not. You can always tell.
Mhm.
What keeps you inspired to keep? What keeps you motivated?
I mean, that sort of passion and feeling I get from doing what I do. 'Cause like you said, if the money was it, I'd probably be doing something that paid a lot better than being a wedding DJ. But um for real though, like the just being able to like watch that like progression of like uh people being stressed out at the beginning of the day or like even like leading up to the day, like they have no idea how to plan a wedding. We help them do that. And then during like the wedding day, before the ceremony, everybody's like the tension's like up here. And then, by the end of the like first dances and like by the time like everybody's dancing out on the dance floor, like just they're having the time of their life and they don't want to stop. And I get so many compliments and it's so rewarding to just be a part of like people's love story for just one day. It really is like I said, the most rewarding job in the world, and I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. So that's definitely like my like drive at heart. Um, but if I wasn't doing this, just like I tried to keep myself busy any way possible in the music industry. So I don't really know what I would be doing otherwise. Like I prefer live stuff nowadays, because I don't have the patience to be sitting behind a desk like I uh all day. Uh so that's why I don't do as much studio work as I used to, but like my cousin does a lot of that. Um so if I wasn't doing weddings, I'd probably be doing, like festivals or bands or something to that degree.
And is your the people around you supportive? Your family, your friends, how have they helped you with your journey?
Everybody around me has been so incredibly supportive, and that has been such a huge factor, I would say, in my success. Just the fact that like my circle believes in me and I can rely on them for support and just feedback, because the road of being an entrepreneur is like full of obstacles and constantly questioning yourself and having to make really tough decisions like all the time. And being able to have a support system like that is so invaluable. I can't stress it enough. If I mean, like, being able to like just like vent to my mom about stuff still like is amazing. Like, God bless her. My wife, like she's been with me throughout this entire journey, like living with me in my dad's basement when we were operating the studio. She was there during that studio session when I had to call the police. Um, so now to like be married and it's it's so cool to see like how far I've come. And I like there have been times when I've had no money and like she's had to buy the groceries and I always get her back. But like you know just having that like that safety net sometimes, it makes all the difference because like I said, there's so many obstacles and it's hard to see them all coming.
Wow, that's really good to have like the support around you too. So
Mm.
you're not just having everything weigh on you. I think it's good to have a support system where you can go and release a lot of that and they're accepting to that. Last but not least of the questions I always like to ask people this to like what is some advice you would give, the upcoming DJs, artists, people who just want to dive into entrepreneurship, but they're a little nervous, they're scared to make that leap because it's not like it's not guaranteed money like a regular 9 to 5. How would you or what advice would you give to someone who's afraid to make that leap?
Like making the leap before like quitting your 9 to 5 before
Uh,
uh going full time with
Going full
your
time.
yeah, that was one of the scariest things I ever did. It felt like jumping off a cliff. And the biggest thing is you just have to believe in yourself. Um Again, having people that believe in you really help because uh you know knowing that you have that safety net helps a little bit. Beyond that, like before I did that, I hustled for like an entire summer and I saved up as much as I could um doing these weddings. I saved up like I think 6 months worth of like rent and bills just like in cash, like just in case, because I knew there were going to be months when like I wasn't having that cash flow or income at first,
Mhm,
and that was invaluable. But also like I ended up not needing it as much as I thought I would.
mhm,
Like it was more of a confidence boost. Like I ended up being more okay than I thought. And the reason was because once you take that leap, it frees up so much time for you to actually be able to invest in yourself.
mhm,
It opens up so many opportunities because now instead of working that 9 to 5, you can say, yes, I'm available for that studio session or that gig, or you can be working on your social media. And it's caused me to treat like my business more like a 9 to 5 and take it seriously like a business and not treat it like a side hustle because it's my paycheck now. And also like it's my drive to do so because if I don't go to work and do that, I'm not getting paid and I'm not going to be able to pay the bills.
mhm.
And, you know, so it all kind of plays into itself, but it starts with just having that self confidence and believing in yourself enough to just like take that leap.
That's amazing, man. Before we go, can you let people know where to find you, where they can book you for their next wedding, their next live event?
Yeah. So I am based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I do travel all around. I'm doing a wedding in Indiana this summer. I've done Minnesota, Northern Michigan. So get at me. You can find me at soundloveaudio.com. I'm also on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Uh, Go ahead and follow me on all of there if you're on there. But yeah, I'd love to be at your next wedding.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Definitely check him out. Check out his website. Go promote. I'm gonna make sure I promote this mess out of this. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show, and I wish you nothing but the best success.
I appreciate you having me and thank you for, for inviting me on here. It's been a blast.
No
So,
problem. Thank you.
cool. Have a good one.
You too. Yes, my shit right here. Say, wait, this is my shit.